Are you looking for a fitness solution that gets you results in minutes? Look no further than AURUM Fitness, the premier Swiss fitness studio for high-intensity resistance training. With its state-of-the-art isokinetic biofeedback technology and excellent personal training concept, AURUM Fitness helps you gain strength, build muscle, and lose pounds in just 6 minutes of workout per week. As a busy entrepreneur, I understand the importance of self-care and the challenges of finding enough time for a proper workout. That's why I choose AURUM Fitness. The benefits and results have been nothing short of mind-blowing for my overall well-being. Not only do I recommend AURUM Fitness for your fitness goals, but I also suggest checking out the AURUM franchise business opportunity. You could be the next successful health and fitness business owner next month. I invite you to visit franchise.aurumfit.com/Swisspreneur and see if AURUM is the perfect match for you.
We disrupted the entire fitness industry, and we're so many studios by now in Switzerland that more than, for example, Kieser Training ever had at their peak time.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Sylvan.
Matthias and Julian, a very well welcome to the other Swisspreneur episode with you guys together. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All hands on deck.
Thanks, Sylvan, for having us.
Matthias, you are the early investor at AURUM, but also a board member. Julian, you are the co-founder and CEO at AURUM. And before we talk about today's focus topic, the franchising system, the power of franchising, I actually want to start with how you guys met. So, Matthias, how did you meet Julian for the first time?
So I actually did meet him where it all started at an AURUM training. So I saw that ad on LinkedIn, and I decided to quickly run and get a pair of shorts and a shirt and show up for this unbelievable and, in my eyes, incredible and probably also not so real proposal of a 6-minute workout. Mm-hmm. So I showed up, and I had the fortune that actually Julian and Philip, the two co-founders, were there giving this first training. And I was just blown away by the concept, by the machine and how they trained. And actually, that's where we first saw each other. It was me sweating, they're laughing, and I think this hasn't changed ever since, but a good first impression.
Absolutely.
No, I'm sweating and you are laughing.
That's how the things change over time, right?
Exactly right.
So you then actually also onboarded Matthias as early investor, today also board member. How do you convince him, Julian, to join the AURUM journey?
On the day that you walked into our store, into one of our two first stores, we just had a cancellation of a Series A, or it was the seed round. Mm-hmm. And so a very prominent investor group that I don't name here actually said to us on that day they won't do it. And so we were really desperate, sitting around, and out of nowhere he came and did the training and said, hey, we just exited Qumran and we're looking for new investments, and I will bring Simon, my partner, in for the due diligence. And so things, they just picked up from there. Mm-hmm. And then after the seed round, we completed our prototype and everything, and then we went into the Series A. He came back from Canada and he was like, I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready to take this to the next level. And so Simon and him, they were the lead investors also on the Series A. Mm-hmm. And then they said, let's also be operational. This is such a great topic, and we love the team. So there was no convincing involved. Yeah.
That's actually quite special, right, Matthias? Because, investing is completely different to be operationally involved in a startup or in a company. So what was so convincing for you that you said, I also want to join, as business developer early on and then board member, to really have the operational perspective as well?
It's a super question, because as you say, probably when I finished my earnout at Dynatrace, I decided, no, I'm not going to be operational for the next few years or so. Right. And but then by then we were already so convinced of the concept of AURUM, of the team, and on the other hand, we also saw that there is work to be done, and not just strategic investment. The money part, we said, yeah, we can do that easily. But I think the interesting thing as an entrepreneur, and I'm at heart in the first place, I'm still an entrepreneur and not investor. I said, no, let's also make our hands dirty again and dig deep. And Simon and I, we're kind of connected ever since on this entrepreneurial path. And then it was a quick discussion between the two of us, and then together with the two co-founders, and we decided, no, it's money, and it's when you want to use the term smart money or hard work money, you also got to do something besides giving the money. And then it was a quick and clear decision.
The temptation to go back into the game was just too big.
Yeah, but we have to. I mean, we can be fully transparent. We didn't need we're not picked up a 100% operational role. For me, it's a 40%. For Simon, it was a 60 to start, and it evolved into an 80%. So we still. And I think that's a good message also to the audience, that when you have the experience and you have done things, then it doesn't have to be always 100% or 70 hours a week, but you can create operational value just by showing up 1 or 2 or 3 days a week.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I think also you were really intrigued by this being a real scale up when you invested, right? We were across the chasm. We knew our customer. We knew how to reach our customer. We knew we would go into franchising to scale this brick and mortar business out. And I think that was something that you said, wow, this is really cool. I want to see this as well, as in the early stages of crossing the chasm, scaling up. And that's something that did not happen with Qumran, right?
No, I mean, this discussion we had is less than 2 years ago. And when you look at the numbers, the amount of customers, the amount of franchisees,
churn,
the churn, we will talk to that later. But we disrupted the entire fitness industry, and we're so many studios by now in Switzerland that more than, for example, Kieser Training ever had at their peak time.
That's crazy. Yeah, super impressive, and the growth that you see there is now also really backed by the franchise model. And before we dive into that topic, maybe we start at the very beginning. What is actually a franchising model? How does that work, Julian?
I mean, franchising is the most underappreciated way of going to market. And in the US, it's completely clear, and every PE and every VC is actually lighting up when you say we want to go to market via a franchising or franchising-like model. Yep. It's basically where you license out the right to use all your business systems to a local entrepreneur. And most of the times it's in combination with a brick and mortar business model, but it can also be a service business model. It can, for example, the wealth managers in the US are also kind of organized from UBS as kind of franchising, right? So there's different layers of how in detail you do the franchising, but it's in the end, it's about giving another party access to your business systems and to your brand, and therefore they pay a royalty.
So that sounds very simple. You get access to the franchise playbook, so to speak, and you bring some money to the table to pay for it, right?
The money is one part, right? So most of the times also banks love to finance franchise because it's a proven system that you just replicate. Yeah. So the money isn't even the biggest part about franchising. It's about finding the operator, right? Yeah. If you have, you need to know exactly who you want to entrust your business system with. And when you are clear about the operator that you want to find, and that you are going to invest in heavily in making them a great operator, you can then put the pedal to the metal and really find more of these operators, and they will be super successful in their own right in their local markets.
Got it. And why was franchising the right system for you to grow as a company? Because you said it's an underappreciated model here in Switzerland. And why was that the right one for you despite not being that common in our country?
That's a really great question, because for the end customer, it doesn't really count if it's a franchise or if it's a company-owned store. And there are examples, for example, in fast food and in fitness, where, there's big companies that have completely scaled out their brick and mortar footprint with own locations. For us, it was just, boiled down into a strategic decision where we said we want to grow really fast and we want to bring in the perfect incentive structure for actually these operators, right? and then grow with other people's time and other people's money. So it was just a smart strategic decision, especially in the middle of Corona, because who would fund a fitness enterprise except those two?
Exactly. You talk about incentives. I imagine this is one of the key aspects of the franchising model that you set up. How do you actually ensure alignment and the right incentivization across you as a company, but also the people who then operate your franchise?
You achieve that, and good franchisors achieve that through not discriminating between company-owned stores and franchise stores. So we have operations management, that's one branch, and they are basically the customer advocate, right? They don't discriminate between franchise or owned stores. So they'll only look that the customer has the best possible experience. And then we have the classical customer success position in our company, which is the franchise success manager at our company. So we have two branches. We have a good cop. These are the operations people that really look after the quality and that the end customer has a great experience. And on the other side, we have the customer success reps that you know from classical organizational structures, which are called franchise success manager at our company. And so they look after the franchisee that he is successful and finds his way around all the systems that we have built and is getting up to speed really fast.
Got it. And one thing that is, of course, also crucial is the business model behind it. So what is AURUM's business model behind the franchising system? How do you make money with like a revenue share or the royalty fees? How does that work?
It's very simple. So the plain vanilla franchising is that you have a certain percentage of the system-wide sales. You know, these are the sales that franchisees make. You get a certain cut of that. Then you have a brand fund, which is not really a revenue stream. You spend the brand fund immediately in the local market to invest in the brand. What we are unique because we are vertically integrated with our own technology platform. We also have a technology fee per training that the franchisees pay to us. But that's really unique. The plain vanilla situation is that you have the royalties, and you should be really aware of franchisors that make money selling products to the franchisee, like for example salad or bread in QSRs. And so that's the best is if the franchisor gets a cut from the revenues with the end customer. That's the perfect system in my opinion.
Then you're really aligned, because then if you are both successful, you both make money. If not, then not. Very simple. So Matthias, you actually shared when we did the preparation for this interview, you said if you were 25, 30 years old again, you would immediately go for a franchise system, to operate as an entrepreneur. Why would that be the right choice for you?
I mean, especially when you choose a successful franchise system, it's just a boot camp. You just learn so fast, so much. Success rate, we know that very well. You know it from interviewing a lot. I mean, success ratio is probably 1 out of 10 startups really succeed. In franchise, it's the other way around. 9 out of 10 are actually successful.
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
And we all know
we didn't have one fail up until now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
it would fail in the first months.
Right. Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I mean, we all know as athletes, but also as entrepreneur, in the end, self-confidence is the important ingredient to be actually more successful in the future. And if you fail the first few startups you do, one, you get older, and B, you just kind of lose confidence. I mean, in the US, it can be different. It gives you a boost. You need to fail in order to be successful. But here, it's not the way. And that's why I say, look, you learn so much because it's growing. You have a playbook, as you said, and your probability of winning is so much higher. That's why I really recommend every 25, 30-year-old who wants to go down the entrepreneurial path, look at the franchise option. It doesn't have to be AURUM, but if you're into health, if you're into sport, there is an option. There aren't so many other ones in Switzerland. So that's why I say, looking back at when I was 25, I would definitely pick that license.
I like the statement. It's like a boot camp of entrepreneurship. That's like really, really cool to have a fast learning curve.
Yeah, and
it's an MBA that creates an asset.
Yeah, exactly.
And we always say cash is actually the blood of entrepreneurship, and you generate the free cash flow. Our franchisees, they generate free cash flow in the first week. All of a sudden they have money to work with, etc. And we know that from the startup, otherwise the money you always have to collect, and it's from financing round to financing round, and that's not really supporting your business or your business model, but it just brings you in cash so you can survive. And this is already in the system. And the other one is, of course, you don't need to pivot all the time, which might be an interesting experience as well. But on the other hand, if you already have this product market fit, which is shown in your own locations, you can build up on that, and you can try to be a better franchisee than the others, or better at the location. So it's a very sporty aspect, which just in the end makes the entire system be better. And there is a lot of exchange between the franchisees. They're all entrepreneurial spirit, and they exchange, and it's just so much more fun, so much easier. But I didn't know when I was 25 that such a thing exists.
Right.
Or I had McDonald's in the back of my head, and my parents always telling me that McDonald's food is not so great. So I had this bias. So.
I see.
Which is wrong. It's amazing. So no, I mean, who doesn't love a Big Mac? One thing I might add here is that it still gives you an entrepreneurial muscle, because we see a lot of people in the sales funnel, they go through the whole due diligence, and then they just don't have it. They looked at 5 years of operating history, and they just cannot make this leap of faith. Will this also work here? Right? And so you still build this emotional muscle of taking a risk and being completely responsible that it works out. And that builds up on itself.
Yeah, you probably learned so much, of how to run a business, especially if you do it for the first time, that once you built a successful franchise, that you could then go on and still start your own company with probably a much higher success rate than at the beginning.
Absolutely, you can extrapolate from that.
Exactly.
You see all the ingredients of a business, and you will learn better. Like when you have skin in the game, you will never learn again.
Right.
And then you can extrapolate from that.
I wonder, because you, Matthias, you have built your own company, Cumram, then sold them successfully. You worked for another company then as part of the exit deal. Now you also have the franchise experience because you're helping it to build it up. Is it really the same, from an entrepreneur's perspective, that if you have your full own company, where you say we start everything, which is much harder, much more risk in terms of, no product market fit, you probably need investors. Is it really the same feeling to start your own franchise compared to your own company where you're completely free to do what you want?
It's hard to compare because I really haven't done it. I think it's similar, but as I said, it's a safer way. It's an easier way to start. You learn faster. So I would say it's different. It's better that you're not too much of a creative person, because the playbook is already there.
Right.
The business model works. So you don't have to redefine marketing strategy. Yeah. It's there, it's given.
Sure.
So it is a different path. But as Julian just pointed out, this entrepreneurial, adventurous spirit of doing my own thing, taking full responsibility, that's in the end, that's the inner part, that's the DNA, and that's still there. And that's why I say, look, you realize in a much more safe environment if you have this entrepreneurial DNA within you.
And you learn to execute, right? And as we all know, execution is key to any business that you're building.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
And I mean, I would love to paint a picture here. In startups, you trot the path, you kind of, okay, may I go left, right, up the hill, down the hill, and you don't know where you want to go.
Sure.
But when you do a franchise, you have a highway, and the left side of the highway is capital for CapEx, and the right side is your ability to execute organizational, structure. And then you can go as fast as you like on that highway, like in Germany. You can go as fast as you like. If you can balance those two and stay in between those two lanes,
sure,
you will go, and there's no reason why you shouldn't have 5-10 locations in the span of 2 or 3 years. There's no reason.
No. And when you're looking for a franchise partner, an operator, what are you exactly looking for, in terms of background, personality, etc.? What is the perfect person to become a franchise operator at AURUM?
Yeah, in the beginning, we also thought we need to figure that out because it's unique to AURUM, right?
Sure.
It's not. Because in franchising, the plain vanilla target customer for franchising are people that are kind of level of senior consultant or associate in an investment bank or whatever that's the equivalent in a law firm or team lead in a corporate. So these are the typical people that buy a business system. Those are the customers for a business system and then replicating that themselves in their local market.
Nice.
And so now we made the best experiences with people that fall into that category, that know the managerial best practices already, that now just want to infuse that skill with a entrepreneurial practice and then execute on our business system. And so these are the people that we search for, you know.
Right.
It's kind of, most of the times it's 3 to 5 years of experience, professional experience in the roles that I just described. And then we will teach them how to be an outstanding operator in the AURUM way. And we also have a manager development system. And so that's basically it. They are off to the races because they can grab all those people management skills and sales skills and just mix them on their own agenda, right? And they are completely motivated to, for the first time, work on their balance sheet and not on the balance sheet or P&L of the employer.
Totally, like the real life MBA, as you said before.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And how much cash do they actually have to invest themselves to start a franchise?
We say last Swiss franc in Switzerland is 200,000. So then you have a self-funding company with a reasonable startup founder salary, and you will make from these 200,000, if you're really good, you will make between 150 and 200,000 in EBITDA with that one location.
Very nice.
And so then you can extrapolate, right? You can grow like exponentially from your own cash flow.
And I imagine with your system, you know, up and running now, you have some history. It's probably also possible to get some banks to help you with the financing to get started.
Absolutely. So we have a partner bank. They love the system, right? And they also looked into the US, and so there's so many banks doing this because it's just such a great business unit. You can look at historical data that's going back 4 or 5 years. You can look at churn data. You can look at other franchisees. How successful are they?
Of course.
And you have actually always a franchisor that, as a lender, you can talk to the franchisor and say, hey, do you have a location analysis? Of course, we have a location analysis. That's also used by Migros and Coop, right? And then they are like, oh my God, this is so professional. Of
course.
And normally when they work with somebody who is founding a company, they are like, okay, where's your organizational structure?
Nothing.
What is an organizational structure? What is your marketing plan? Marketing plan?
Yeah.
Target customer? We don't have a target customer yet, so they don't get money for that.
Of course. Yeah.
Banks want to invest in systems, in predictable money-making systems, and then they are really keen on lending because that's their business.
Absolutely. And what are some of the most common questions that you get from people that, you know, apply to become an operator in your franchise system?
It's most of the time marketing.
Okay.
That's kind of the thing that people are most concerned about, and that's also the biggest value proposition of a franchise system is brand and a predictable lead engine that you get from the franchisor. For our franchisees, they start with 150 to 250 people on the waiting list on the day they open.
Wow.
So they are completely booked for the first month.
Yeah.
And that's what you buy when you buy a franchise. You just execute and you just build customers. And they always want to understand how is the marketing working, who is the target customer, and then they work backwards from the lead engine to the conversion system, to the client fulfillment system, to the business operations systems. And it's a great way to do it. That's basically a great way to do due diligence, by the way. So intuitively, the right candidates go along these steps.
Exactly. Any other questions that are important that you often get in that process?
And the minimum equity required, right?
Okay, sure.
And that's most of the time a question. We have great people that don't come with the right equity, and it's 40,000 Swiss francs. It's not so much if you think about, you know, founding your own company. So if you have 40,000 Swiss francs and you are, as described before, you're perfectly qualified to open an AURUM franchise.
And I also wonder, as you grow, you probably also have some geographical limits because Switzerland is only that big. So how do you make sure that you have enough growth from a franchise system, but also don't start to cannibalize each other's area?
I mean, that's a great question. That's also a brick and mortar question in the end, right? Yeah. Because we have a lot of digital products on the podcast, right? And it's all the rage since the 80s. But brick and mortar is still, it's such a beautiful environment to operate in because you have a very wide moat if you are the only provider of this exact thing in that local market where people have to go to physically, right? Mm-hmm. And so we work with the same tools as Migo and Coop. We analyze, okay, how long do people need to the store? What is the overlap? Where are white spots? Right. We estimate that we can have between 150 to 200 stores in Switzerland. And as you know, we started the entrance into Germany, and you need to localize a bit. You need to localize a bit. We did that successfully. We have the proof of concept in Stuttgart, in München, and now we can go into the scale-up phase there, into that part of the S-curve. And in Israel, we are still a bit lagging behind. The Israeli customer is valuing some different things, and so we need to adopt accordingly, and then hope to make it into a scalable system there as well. So that's how you operate as a franchisor. You go city by city, and then you go country by country, and to actually always have the overlap effects of brand and operational efficiency, driving your franchisees forward.
Right. But would you also do any geo blocking or do exclusive areas where you say you now go to the city of Lucerne, for example, and you are the only one for at least 5 years in that city? Would you grant them any exclusivity?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't. That's basically a best practice in franchising, and anybody who wants to dive into franchising I'm always there to help. Nice. We needed to teach that ourselves. Many people sell area development plans, and these are almost always not so good.
Okay.
So you go. First, you do one store, you operate that successfully, you will achieve all the quality standards and the sales, and then you go into the phase where you are granted the second license, and then we can talk about, okay, maybe we will have a development plan where we don't put in another franchisee in a location that you want to do when you have proven yourself.
Got it. Yeah. And that's actually my follow-up question for you, Matthias. Once you're up and running with your franchise, it's going well, you make some money, you have a lot of happy customers. What's the next career step once you started that? What are the options that you have within or also outside of AURUM?
Julian already kind of started on this one. You start as a coach, and maybe I can quickly add this before answering your question. Already out of our own stores, we have many coaches who started working with us for 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, and now they became franchisees. That's a career path we can also offer within, of course, and that's what Julian said. They don't usually come with the capital required capital, but we can support them as well on that. So we have we're just structuring also such so-called club deals where if the bank is not ready because they're so young, etc., they don't have the track record, we can even help them. And so that's a very cool and natural thing. And then when you think about this maybe 24, 25-year-old coach who just started his own location, he will learn so much with this first location. As Julian said, it's a highway. You can go super fast. You get the support. You learn fast. And then it's already when you have your 150th customer, you can think about the second location. And then again, we come in with the tool. We recommend certain spots around it. You open a second one within, from our 15 franchisees we have by today, or even 18, already 4 have more than one studio. Wow. And the first one in Switzerland is not even 12 months old. So that's how fast this highway speed is actually going. Yeah. And then it's multi-location, it's number 2, number 3, number 4. What we're really looking for is for entrepreneurial ambition to at least open 5 to 10 studios.
Amazing.
That's and then with the EBITDA figures that Julian was telling you, and then you're already on $500,000 EBITDA without any hesitation. Every single one.
Sure.
And if you have that, then of course from there, it's either you have that running because by then you're operator. You don't coach anymore. So you're managing the multi studios. You look for the next better location. Right. You are training your people. You're really an entrepreneur already on a quite high maturity. And then of course franchise contracts in our system goes 5 years. Yeah. So there is a decision point. Either you keep it running because cash flow is great. You can keep investing, or you sell to someone else because there will be many other options within the region to sell to. And then, of course, you're free. And we know that from other franchise entrepreneurs, they actually love the system so much that they look for the next franchisee opportunity or become franchisor or just start a completely new business because now they have their own funds which they can invest.
Of course. Wow. That sounds so promising.
And I might also add, we will always find a slot now for the next 2 or 3 years here in Switzerland for somebody who is invested, because many people have fear of missing out. There's always everywhere's AURUM. I cannot open a store anymore. In a service that the highest standing USP of our service is the time efficiency, right? So if people need longer than 15 minutes to the studio, the USP is completely gone. So you can extrapolate that and say, okay, what are the circles of 15 minutes in Switzerland? Yep. And you get a lot of spots on the map.
Then probably the 150 to 200 would not even cover the whole country, as you imagined, right?
That's completely a guess into the blue.
Sure.
We don't know how many we can have.
What are some of the areas that you're specifically focusing on in the future that are becoming more and more important to you?
So Zurich is our home turf. We have a very good, network already in Zurich now. We will see the network becoming denser by the factor of 2, I guess. We have, I think, 15 locations in the greater Zurich area at the moment. We will have 30 soon, something like that. We have just started in Bern. We are in Biel. We are in St. Gallen. So we are in all the great cities in Western Switzerland. Now we want to go into the lesser known cities of Switzerland. For example, Thun is an amazing spot where we want to open a hub. And then we are also going to the Romandie now, with the start in Lausanne. And then, of course, Genf is also a hub where we can have 20. We estimate that we can have around 50 in Romandie. And wherever you are, we will find a place still for you. And our main goal now, our mission 100, is to have 100 in Switzerland.
I love that.
So, because to dovetail that into why we do this, it's basically what we see when customers come to us and train with us, especially people that have a clear goal, right? Elderly people that want to heal a back pain or build muscle or fight osteoporosis and stuff like that. And so that's why we want to have a really dense network in Switzerland to really contribute to the Swiss people, that they just feel more amazing than they already do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why when I can address directly the audience, everyone listening to us out there, when you hear that and you have questions, really contact us, because the franchise system is, of course, is one great thing, as we already promoted. That would be cool. But maybe you also have just a great location, or you have a city, or you have a friend which would like to franchise, or we're also growing as a corporate. So super open, for any talent listening to us who wants to go on this highway with us. If you're sporty and well-being and health is at your core, because we need this also from your core value position, then just reach out.
I mean, I got to know you guys. We've had many touch points, and you're amazing to work with. I mean, great people. So I can definitely recommend to reach out to you. If there's only a little spark of interest, people should evaluate that.
The CEO is a bit crazy, but the rest is quite decent.
Yeah. But once you get to know him better, he's okay.
Exactly. Of course, one very important question that we also always ask startups that apply for our investment syndicate, etc., is why is the timing right now? What would you answer to someone who asks you that, Julian?
I mean, we come from a wave of super cheap funding and the things that did not really have a clear path to profitability were funded left and right, and you could just tinker around. But you see it now, right? Free cash flow is becoming the word, and everybody knows what it is by now. And so it's actually also what we saw in the US. There's a different asset class created around investing in franchisees. There's PE firms that invest in franchisees because of the scalability, because of the predictability of cash flows. There's also a syndication platform like you have, especially for to invest in franchisees. It's called FranShares. And you just, when you look into the US, you always see these trends coming, and it's basically a clear path towards profitability, towards self-funding. It's just celebrating the classical backbone entrepreneurship. And as you know, funding has dried up. Free cash flow is more valuable than ever. Now is the time to build a franchise, 5 years, 10 years. And then if you come along great ideas in the time that you have the franchise with us or with another franchise brand, and you learn the operational experience and the execution ability, you will maybe come into a window where you can do a startup again, of course, more easily than now. And so that's why it's just the perfect option to start in entrepreneurship now with franchising.
I love this. I think it's the perfect example of the power of franchise.
Yeah,
amazing.
No. Like I said, an MBA that builds an asset. How cool is that?
Absolutely.
And then, of course, also timing-wise is of course what we provide. The health, the well-being, the longevity aspect is super important. We see that post-pandemic, everyone wants to be healthy, and still has little time. So what we're promising is even if you like burgers and like to go to McDonald's, I think what we're providing is an actual health benefit on the long run, and that's cool, because also for the entrepreneurial thing, if you love gastro, it's of course franchise system is cool as well, but our end customer promise is I think one thing that's really strong. And if you want to do something with your heart for several years, it's cool when you like that. And we are all working out. I mean, we're all clients of our systems as well, and I think that's in the end for sustainability probably the most important thing.
I mean, that's really nice that you say. The main trend that we serve at the moment, especially with our customer group, is longevity. And longevity has been around for a few years. It's before it was called anti-aging, and so but it's still a really cool thing, because it comes even more and more pleasurable each day to live. So we want to live longer. And so one of the longevity-focused funds was pinging me if I can have a talk at one of their conferences next year, and I was like, yes, I can talk about, the basics of inversion, what not to do if you want to live long. And so we were always thinking about not smoking and not drinking too much alcohol, not eating too fat. But losing muscle is the biggest indicator of premature aging, And so when you can do homework with us once a week to keep the muscle at peak capacity, you will have done 80% of the way towards great longevity indicators.
I love that. So guys, to wrap up today's episode, I also have some rapid fire questions to you. I'm going to ask you both the same questions because I'm really curious to see if there are any differences between the two of you.
Yeah.
Matthias, I'm going to start with you. What's your favorite AURUM exercise?
It's the overhead press, which is the sixth and last exercise, because when you're done, you're done.
Oh yeah, I like that.
That's a lie.
What's yours?
It's the leg press.
Of course.
Because
why I'm not surprised?
Because it's the only thing I'm strong at compared to the others. When you look into it, gamification, it goes both ways. All of a sudden, you're not the strongest anymore. You cannot claim to be the strongest because it's in the data.
Sure. Matthias, Switzerland, Israel, or Germany?
Switzerland.
Clear choice for you, Julian.
Switzerland.
Clear.
It's such a great country.
Matthias,
I love it.
Yeah. Single location or multi-franchise?
Multi, of course. Why stay with one when you can do many?
Yeah. For you, same choice?
Multi.
And Julian, profitability or exit?
Profitability.
Matthias, you've done the exit?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on which game you're playing. But in this one, definitely profitability.
Yeah. And the last one, performance or longevity?
As you heard, longevity.
Clear, yeah?
Longevity. As a father of 2 young
Yeah,
children,
of course.
I mean, I want to be there and, with 100, 110,
Yeah.
still doing AURUM trainings with my son.
That sounds like a very nice vision to chase. Cool. Julian, Matthias, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to learn more about the fascinating franchising system. And I'm sure we're going to hear and see much more of you in the future. Lots of success and all the best.
Thanks, Silvan.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.